Gary's Tour friends, we're about to start our next exciting journey. This is 39 Sydney Place. This is where I studied law when St. John's University used to be down here. I had a fourth floor walk up there, and it was in the back, not the front. But I was in better shape then, it didn't bother me as much. And this is Sydney Place, the street I lived on. I go up here to this church, which was also a children's school, make a right turn, walk down a couple of blocks, and I'd be at law school. I didn't have much of a commute. I had a 10-minute commute to get to law school. I left my house, class started at 10. If I left at 9:45, I'd be in law school in time. Now, let's pretend, let's go back in time. It's summertime, it's a beautiful day in the spring. Who wants to go to Jones Beach? I want to go to Jones Beach. Let's go right now. Okay, Gary's Tour fans. Now we're starting our tour from Brooklyn Heights to Jones Beach. Are you ready? Okay, kids, we're starting the tour now to go to Jones Beach. We're going to drive there from Brooklyn Heights. Let's see if I remember how to do it. So we're pretending that I'm still in law school, and this is a beautiful day. I'm going to play hooky today and drive to Jones Beach State Park, which I think you'll find very interesting. And it's nice to drive around. This is Brooklyn Heights, a wonderful place to live, filled with old brownstone houses. I literally had a rent-controlled house here, and I could have actually kept it. I was paying $220 a month, but I didn't keep it. Needed the money for some other purpose. I can only imagine what I needed it for, and I let it go. But now we're going to drive down through Brooklyn Heights to Atlantic Avenue. Sorry about the sun flare that you're currently seeing, because we're shooting into the sun. Makes our windows light up. You see every speck of dirt or dust that might be on them. And guess what? As an added treat for you guys, I'm going to give you a complete rundown on who Robert Moses was. Robert Moses, there's a book called The Power Broker, which I'm sure many of you are familiar with. It was published in the 70s. It talks about Robert Moses and his career. And I'm going to tell you the whole life story of Robert Moses while we're driving, so you don't get bored just looking at the scenes as we drive from here out to Jones Beach. But he's the man who, more than any other person in New York City, developed the parkways, the roadways, the bridges. He built all those things. Oh, that won't work. That's the one we gotta use. Okay. I have people blowing their horn at me, of course, because they're in a hurry. I don't know why they're in a hurry, but they seem to be in a hurry most of the time. Seems like everyone's in a hurry. Now, this road here we're coming to should be Atlantic Avenue. Looks like it might be. We're going to go on Atlantic Avenue. I'm going to head south on the BQE. This should take us past the Verrazano Narrows Bridge, which is a pretty bridge. I'm going to have to play with my phone holder that's in my visor, because it tends to drift down, and then you lose the good views that I want you to be able to get. I'm going to go down here, make a left turn, and we should be getting on the BQE. I hope you all can hear me well. Looks like you can from what I can see. Remember, this is from Gary's Tours. Please subscribe and like. If you want more videos like this? A lot of people like driving videos, I've been told. And my driving videos and walking videos are different than most because I can't keep my mouth shut. So I'm talk. Like I'm excited about talking to you about Robert Moses. Robert Moses went to Yale. His father was a wealthy merchant in New Haven, Connecticut. And he, at a very relatively young age, sold his business. There may have been some sense of illness or something of that nature, I'm not sure. Sold his business and moved back to Manhattan. His wife was the more dominant person in the relationship in terms of raising the children and raising the family. Wow, the grass is green here. It's really grass. I know there's grass in that. It's too green to be grass. This says the Brooklyn Queens Expressway to Staten Island. Actually, we're going to get on this now. We're going to go to the Belt Parkway, go around the Belt Parkway by the water. It's a beautiful ride. I love it. I commuted for at least the last year of law school to law school, taking the BQE every day, as we used to call it. Well, back to Robert Moses. So Robert Moses was an exceptional student at Yale. He was not one of the most popular students, but he had that problem his whole life. I apologize for my constant adjusting of this video. But he was trained, and he was extremely smart. He, believe it or not, shortly after getting out of Yale, he went to private schools when he lived with his parents in Manhattan. But shortly after getting out of Yale, he was able to get a job without being an attorney as an aide in Albany. That told him something about power. He knew there was power in Albany and money. He knew he wanted to do public construction. He wanted to build roads and build bridges. The road we're on right now, BQE, was built by Robert Moses as well. The Belt Parkway that we're getting on was built by Robert Moses. He didn't build the Grand Sound Narrows Parkway. That was after Grand Sound Narrows Bridge. That was after his time. He kept working right through the time he was 80. And with all these roads he built, he never got a license to drive a car. He was always chauffeured around. He loved fishing. He loved eastern Long Island. He and his wife and their children summered every year in Babylon. They had an apartment in Babylon and stayed there. He loved Babylon because it was close to the ocean. He fished in the Great South Bay a lot. He wanted to develop the pure white sand beaches of Jones Beach and Robert Moses Beach. The latter was named after him, of course. But at the time, there was no way to get a car there. The only way to get there was via boat. And he walked those beaches a lot. he would go fishing on the Great South Bay, and then when he was done fishing, he would literally go to the beaches, the unnamed beaches at this point, and walk them, planning what it would be like in the future, planning what he was going to do to make it better. As a matter of fact, I think on one of his first dates, he took his date at the time and walked over to the edge of the Hudson River and told her about his dreams of how he wanted to develop a park adjacent to the river. At the point that they were there, it was railroad trains and steam trains going by, bringing beef and other materials south to be butchered in Manhattan to feed the people of Manhattan. So the Hudson Yards went south. Lots of trains went all the way down to probably 19th Street, which was the beef cutting section, beef slaughterhouse section. Animals in those days slaughtered in Manhattan, and then taken right to the restaurants. The reason it was slaughtered and taken to restaurants so quickly was they didn't know about refrigeration in those days. So when animals were slaughtered, you had to eat them. If you wanted really good meat, you'd have to eat it in a couple of days, because it didn't last much longer than that. Actually, that's how the Heinz family made millions, by inventing ketchup. Ketchup has nothing to do with tomato sauce and the mix that goes into ketchup. See, it was a term that was used, ketchup. Now, the substance you would pour on the meat sort of killed the taste of how bad the meat was. That's what ketchup was primarily used for. So you didn't taste what you were eating. Because the meat would typically go bad in a couple of days, and the ketchup made it taste more palatable. We're going right down parallel to the shore of the Brooklyn dockyard. These are all warehouses in Brooklyn. There are now various other things. I think one of them is a jail, I believe. This is where ships are manufactured. This is where lots and lots of commerce in Brooklyn. Even before there was a Brooklyn Bridge, there was a lot of commerce in Brooklyn. A lot of ships coming in and out of Brooklyn. Materials. So he ultimately went to the beach a lot. That's where we get on the Nassau Parkway, which was developed by Robert Moses. Cars only. Didn't want trucks. There's also some talk these days that he may have been either racist or possibly just a person who didn't like poor people that much. Because the beaches are really accessible almost only by car. So you sort of have to own a car in order to go to all these beautiful beaches. And a lot of New Yorkers at the time didn't own cars. All right, let's jump on the Bell Parkway. I hope the course you're seeing isn't bouncing as much as my cards on these roads. And we're getting on what should be the Bell Parkway. When I was in law school, I used to take dates that I had and drive down on this road because you could literally, there was some excellent cool, I thought cool, parking spots. We had a view of the Bird Sound Narrows Bridge, the lights of the bridge. It looked very nice at night. Great place to park. There's a harbor. So you can see it a little better. It's the south part of the New York harbor. And now we're merging onto the Gulf Parkway. There in the distance, you can see the top of the Bird Sound Narrows Bridge. Well, you see, sir, Mr. Pickup Truck, you're not supposed to pass on the right. So passing on the right causes you to get in trouble that way. So I can't see you when you pass on the right. But he blew his horn, just smart. That's the Belt. We're on the Belt Parkway, and that's the Bird Sound Narrows Bridge that connects Brooklyn and Staten Island. Prior to that bridge being built, the only way to get to Staten Island, to the rest of New York City, is either drive into Jersey and drive up the 95 and then come across the George Washington Bridge with a Holland Tunnel, or take a ferry, which is free. Best free ride in New York City. We have a video on the ferry. Yeah, it's premiering shortly, I believe. This is the beautiful Bird Sound Narrows Bridge. Many a nice night I spent down here. I think you'll see my favorite parking spots up here in the campus. Unless they close it since I use it. Great place to exercise, to run, to walk. Robert Moses did a lot of really, really good things for Jones Beach. As I say, there's some criticism of him now for whatever reasons, but he actually built things that were unbelievable. And sometimes he met resistance from people with a lot of money. There's where he used to park right in there. Great place to park. The lights of the bridge. Very romantic, I think. He opposed power, and ultimately he became one of the most powerful people in New York State. As a matter of fact, an interesting story about Robert Moses is he built what's called the Northern State Parkway, which was going out from the Queens line where the Belt Parkway ends to Jones Beach and Robert Moses Beach. It goes all the way out to Hop, Long Island. And he wanted to go straight out, but the people who were wealthy in the Oyster Bay area of Long Island wouldn't let him come through. And they had the money and the political power to stop him in his tracks. He wanted to build the road straight through their yards. And that would interfere with their horseback riding and their athletic fields. beautiful views from their veranda. So they had the political power to go to Albany and talk to the powers that be, stop him. He could not get through them. And then in the 60s, this was in the 30s when they built the Parkway. In the 60s, by the time 1962, 63 came along, he had amassed so much political clout in this state that he blasted right through the neighborhoods. They made him go literally 6 miles south, straight south, and make a left turn, so it wouldn't interfere with any of their polo ports or things of that nature. So in some ways, Robert Moses was a man of the people. A lot of the things he made were for not the rich, but for the common man. The rich already had these pleasures. They already had the beaches, the private yachts, the private access to these beaches, clubs. Matter of fact, there was a club out on Robert Moses Beach. It was the subject of litigation for years because the club didn't want to sell to him. They knew he was going to turn it into a beach. And litigated, eventually one turned that into a beach as well. But he did a lot of good things. And when he was building Jones Beach and the beaches out there, he didn't spare money. He would literally get imported stonework from Italy, built for buildings. Well, he didn't make the bathhouses. They're not made out of poured concrete, like a typical government job. And when you come out there, and we're going to do this, we're going to stop at each of these points and talk to you more about it. See these lights? These are typical lights that the government puts up. They're aluminum poles with a light up. That's what they wanted to put on the Parkway system. Robert Moses opposed that. He said he wanted something more rustic looking. So he forced the state to buy huge 8x8 pieces of lumber, trees literally, and cut them square, and then have a cross panel on them and put lights on those. He insisted on that. Now, most municipalities use guardrails. They're just pieces of steel. Some over there, there's some there we just passed. They're on the side of the road. You can see them. And they're just pieces of steel stuck in the ground with stakes, basically. But he thought that was ugly. For his Jones Beach, he wanted rustic guardrails. So he had his team of engineers design rustic guardrails. That was his power. He had engineering designs for every possible project already in the can, ready to go. He managed a team of engineers. And they designed for him special guardrails. They had the same strength as a regular guardrail, but you couldn't see any metal. They looked like they were made of wood. But inside the wood was a steel cable. They were actually stronger than the regular guardrails in public use in most places. All right. We're on the Bell Parkway now. We're still in Brooklyn. We're approaching Queens. We're at Coney Island Avenue. By the way, the transit trains come out here. And another video we did, they have a a train ride that you can take in the summertime on an old train, a train that was built in the early 1900s. And it goes right out to the beaches, White Beach and this beach, Coney Island Beach. You might consider doing that. And they only charge you for this special train ride in a very ancient train, the same rate that they charge for a regular subway fare. These days it's $3.90. When I started riding subways, it was 20 cents. We had little tokens that are like brass coins the size of a dime, maybe a little small, with a hole in the center. They were 20 cents each. Now, of course, Technology, just tap your iPhone and it automatically debits whatever account is in your iPhone. We're going to take a break now and talk to you until we get a little closer to Jones Beach.
See these poles? These are the classic type of pole. The state and most municipalities like to put up cheap aluminum poles and a cheap light. These were the expensive poles that Robert Moses insisted on, and they're still used today. These are the types of poles that he likes. Now there, across the road, is the guardrail. That looks like just a wooden 2x12, I'd say, right? Wrong. It's not a wooden 2x12. There's steel cables in there, and that's as strong as a regular guardrail. And those wooden devices going into the ground, they're actually steel with wood on the outside as a veneer. So I just thought I'd let you know, those are some of the things that Robert Moses is directly responsible for. Tower is a water tower to supply water for the entire beach area. And they wanted to put up a regular, typical Long Island metallic type tower with a big round water device on top of it and metal coming down from it. And Robert Moses said, no, you're not going to do that. What you're going to have is you're going to have a tower. That tower is based on the design of the Plaza de San Marco tower in Venice, Italy. And having been there about 8 months ago, it clearly resembles the other tower. I think the tower in Italy might be not as tall. And this is the main parking field in their administrative offices we're going to go to. Off in the distance there, behind the Parkway overpass. By the way, I forgot to tell you, and it's important for you to know, that each Parkway overpass is designed differently. It has different stones on the frontal part of it. Everyone is a varied type of stonework that goes over the arch. So that's another feature that Robert Moses put in. But you could have at Jones Beach an ugly big water tank like that instead of a beautiful tower like you find in the Plaza de San Marco in Venice.